How you doing? It's the Butcher here. Today I wanted to make a video on the developer live stream campfire chat for the upcoming season of Construct Season 3 in Diablo 4 and kind of everything they discussed. So yesterday I had actually made a video going over what we knew about the new Construct powers or the powers you're going to get from your Sensual, your little pet, that's been widely discussed, and I thought they looked pretty cool. They did show a little bit more on that, but today I'm going to focus on a lot of the other stuff. So I've watched this whole thing, I've kind of breezed through it to show you guys what I think is of importance, really. So the beginning is a whole lot of nothing. This is just kind of like their insights into it. Over here, they're kind of recapping what happened in Season 2. This is like a little trailer for it. Then in the beginning of this, they talk a lot about the seasonal quest line. To be frank, we'll see if it's good. I haven't cared too much of the other ones. They talked about how this guy basically is Malthus. He created all these robots. I don't know. I didn't get too into that. We'll see about the seasonal quest line. What to talk about here to talk about like the actual changes to the game. So kind of the first thing of note that I really saw was this right here. So this is them showing you fighting Malthus, who is the new boss added, and there's going to be one at the end of the seasonal quest line and one Uber or an Uber version of him as well. So the first thing I said is he's the first stationary boss. I believe this is actually mentioned maybe before, but he's the first stationary boss. But I'll play this out a little bit so you can see. Kind of the way it works is you're more fighting the environment than actually him in a way. So, dodging his attacks with fighting the environment and dodging a lot of the environmental hazards that are coming along with it, and then getting hits in on him. They don't have any damage numbers or anything like that. As far as how I feel about stationary boss, could be cool. Just it's all about how it's executed and the mechanics of it. So we'll really have to see. Couldn't really tell too much from that. But so a new boss added, that's a good thing in my opinion. And we'll have to see how it actually plays. I like how they're trying to do something a little different for a stationary one, but again, it all really comes down to the mechanics. Hopefully, it's a bit of a challenge. So the next thing, if I skip forward a bit here, so they actually show off a bit of. So this is like the hub world. This is I forget what it's called, the gateway town or something like that. But down here, as you can see, you'll have vendors. You'll have your little waypoint there. You'll have these portals as well too to different vaults and things like that. So this is going to be your little hub, and it's all these little robot vendors, which is kind of cool as well too. I like having this little hub world. I think it's kind of nice, and it's under Kazakhstan, I believe, is what they had said previously. But moving on, so they do go into a little bit more on how your companion works. They give like an example of them building one out. I think it's like right over here, yeah, of like building one out. But more importantly, what they said is it will scale off a lot of things. So not just your level or your health or your attack power or your main stat or your strength or intelligence or whatever it might be, anything like that. It'll actually scale off a lot of different things, including like I think they mentioned crit damage and crit chance. So I'm assuming it's all things like that, which is pretty cool. We'll see, how it all interacts. We don't really know yet, but hopefully that ends up working out well. And I do like they did mention specifically they don't want it to fall off in the end game. So hopefully that helps for some of the abilities, like I mentioned in my last video. Like I was saying, a lot of the physical ones, just their sort of damage, didn't look that good. So maybe you could scale it up that way with, crit and vulnerable and things like that. But we'll have to see. So next thing, if we skip past that, we got to see some more of the stones, but still don't know too much about them, so I'm not going to go into depth on that. So then they mentioned these different types of vaults, and basically they showed off actually some gameplay. If you're going through it, I'll kind of show it quick here. So there's these traps, basically, and then there's also enemies. So there's two things you're kind of fighting against, and you have to take out the enemies, and you have to not get hit by the traps to make it past the end. And if you do get hit by the traps, it diminishes your rewards at the end. But what you can do is, so you're not actually really juicing the map as we kind of thought. What you're actually doing is giving yourself basically almost like more lives, even though you're not dying, but more chances to get hit by the traps with the, I forget what they're called. They're called I think they're called the Zoltan's Warding, is what I believe they're called. And I'm actually going to pause it here. But they basically give you more chances so you don't basically run out of, not lives, but the amount of times you can hit. It reminds me of Sanctum from PoE, is what it made me think of, where you only get a certain amount of times you get hit before you fail. So if you do get hit too many times by the traps, then my apologies. Second time in as many videos as I'm going to have to splice it together here. But I believe, as I was talking about, is it reminded me of Sanctum from PoE, where if you got hit a certain amount of times, you lose, but in this case, you just lose out on the best rewards. But anyway, this room over here, they were actually referred to as a death room in this room. So it's basically taking like all the traps from throughout the vault and putting them all together. And then you're also fighting off these enemies as well. It looks pretty cool. You kind of have to navigate around. Looks pretty fun. And there's going to be different levels of these vaults, with even a Uber version, basically, is what they said. So they'll get progressively harder. How hard will they actually be? Not really sure. So that's something we're going to have to see. But they do look pretty fun. And again, we're going to have to see how long this actually keeps our attention, what the rewards actually look like, and things like that. But coming up next is kind of more of the meat and potatoes. Actually, there's one more thing. So this is more of a little minor thing. But this was the basically kind of the overworld thing. So there's these arcane terrors that pop up, and it's kind of reminds me of like the Midwinter Blight a little bit. Like you kill them, and you're able to get more of those things to increase your chances at getting the rewards in the vaults. So kind of a whatever, but just happening in the overworld. Seems fine to me. And then you kill these things, and you'll get your rewards from that. And you can take them over to your vaults. So it's just kind of a little whatever thing. But now more to the crux of the video, more the important stuff I think everyone's looking forward to. So the first thing they talked about here is leaderboards. So as I kind of scroll through here, so they talked about what it is, and they said their reasoning for not releasing it at launch is because they want it to be like an endgame activity. I don't know if that's, or they want everyone to be leveled up, be all geared up. I mean, sure, but why can't people just do that in like the fourth week, and anyone that wants to race to be able to beat it, do that originally? Doesn't make sense. I would assume they're covering because it's not done, quite honestly. I know it sounds pessimistic, but if that truly is their line of thinking, that makes minimal to no sense to me. Why not just have it there anyway so people can rush in? And it resets every week, so it's not like it's doing any detriment down the line. Different gauntlets, 4, 5, 6 weeks in. So why not just have it there right away? It doesn't really make much sense to me, but that is their reasoning behind it. And then you can see like they brought up the leaderboards, and they said there's other rewards too for people that aren't trying to get to the top of the leaderboards as well too. And basically the way this works, if I go back towards where they're actually showing it here, is you have a set dungeon, and they said it's going to be a lot of strategy, so it's probably going to take you several playthroughs through to really get a feel for it, feel the layout, feel where you want to go. And you start off with like in this boss room with the Tomb Lord here, who stinks by the way, but whatever. But then you'll go through and progress into like basically more open type dungeon. And you get these keys. I'm not exactly sure what they do, but they add to your score, and as you kill things, and the faster you finish, you'll add to your score. And then obviously the higher score, the better it is, and you'll get your place on the leaderboards, you try to improve on that. So seems fine. Again, we'll have to see how it actually plays, but seems okay. It's just really disappointing that it's not coming right away. It will probably come, realistically, they didn't give an exact release date on it. I'm guessing probably about a month in, which is pretty ridiculous. Even if their reasoning was they want to let people get to level 100, delay it like a week, maybe 2. Don't do anything more than that if that's truly your reasoning. I think it's really because it's not done. But anyway, next thing here is they're making some changes to actually make this season journey in the battle pass a bit easier. They said some things that are annoying are like killing people in PvP and things like that. So that should be a good change. And they added some new season blessings that we went over. And these are some of the new name tags and stuff that you can get as well too. And then they bring on Adam here, and this is probably the most important thing. It's because the patch notes are coming out, so we don't have exact patch notes yet. But they went over kind of the big things they're going to change, and also how, you can see here, how they're going to view class balance or how they do, and are going to continue balancing it in the future. So if we want to move ahead here, get the bar. So the changes to the bar. So they're moving power to the baseline skill from legendaries to other effects. So they're making your actual skill, as you can see there. Um, if I want to back up a little bit, so they're making it actually do. This is for charge. I'm sorry, for charge specifically. So they show this example where instead you're doing like 1200, and now you're doing 12,000 just with the baseline skill, not having it rely so heavily on specific abilities. And they're really pushing charge, which I think is actually cool because it's been something that's basically been neglected. It's going to do a lot more damage now, and they said we might be crazy. And they're making a bunch of buffs to the key passive because the only one anyone ever runs is the Unbridled Rage, which makes you do more damage. Walking Arsenal specifically was extremely useless, and then they said they're adjusting shouts. So they basically didn't say exactly what it is, but they said they wanted to make shouts feel less mandatory, which I think is good because pretty much every build is heavily reliant on 2 to 3, a lot of times even 4 shouts if you include Wrath of the Berserker, which is basically a shout. But that's it for the Barb. So they do a little graphic there. And now for the Sork. So for the Sork, um, well, I think they come up. I think it comes up later. It's what they're nerfing. So I'll go through this first. So first, a lightning spear's critical strike. Now the ability to make enemies vulnerable. Sometimes it's kind of tough to make enemies vulnerable as a sorcerer, and you can get some things that aren't just damage, but like damage reduction for vulnerable enemies as a sword. So they had some buff to the Paragon Legendary nodes. We'll have to see what that is. And then the Meteor build is getting some updates / buffs, and they show it later on, and that actually looks quite cool in my opinion. So they're buffing the Meteor and then these elemental summoner things like the Lightning Sphere, Hydra, Ice Blades. So basically the main thing, I don't know how much the elemental summoner thing, I would hope to see something cool in Hydra, but specifically the Meteor is getting a complete basically overhaul. And then we have the Rogue here, and this is the one that intrigued me the most, I think, was the Rogue. So they are changing. They said buffs to underused skills and skill upgrades. You can see over here the penetrating shot, the not flurry, I forget what it's called. There's rapid fire, and I forget the other one honestly. But you can see that here, and also Caltrops. Caltrops is actually quite good. I actually played around with it quite a bit, but they're buffing range builds, and range builds were actually really good last season. The first rogue to beat level 25 of Avatar of the Year was actually it was kind of cheese. One with the combo point bug, and two because they switched totally spec'd into penetrating shot to totally spec'd into rapid fire. So it was a big cheese, but they're actually quite strong, and I think this is probably going to be my starter class. Just a little hint: it's going to be a range build, a range rogue build, probably some combination of penetrating shot and rapid fire. But they're also changing Windforce, Sky Hunter, and Eaglehorn, and like I said, Caltrops as well. And this can actually be really good Caltrops. Like I said, it was actually pretty good before. Just kind of clunky sometimes, the animation, how you jump back, because it was actually better used with Twisting Blades, which is going to get hit, than it was with some of these, with the range builds, which is more what it's used for. So it's a little bit clunky in that way, but I could see that actually being really good and used on pretty much all classes. So next, if we want to go through, we have the Druid. So they're buffing some of the Spirit Boons. Some of them are extremely useless, I should say. They give the example of Pickle Skin. I still think this is going to be useless. They're basically just bumping up the amount of thorns. Let's say overhaul the way thorns work. I don't see that being something that's all that good. But this is the better stuff here. So there's buffs coming to Lightning Storm with a new legendary, which will show, which is really cool. And there's buffs coming to Enhanced Rabies. Rabies was something I tried to build in. It looks like it would be cool, but it really doesn't work well in practice. So I hope that actually becomes better now. So moving on to the Necromancer. So this I was a bit disappointed in. Let's go back here for a second. Oh, sorry. So Necromancer was far and away the weakest class, and part of that is because they didn't really have any bugs for Season 2, but it was definitely the weakest class, and so what they're buffing is Golems, and they're buffing Bone Spirit. Could this be okay? Yeah, I guess. As other things come back to Earth, and they're not really touching any of the upper echelon necro classes like your Bone Spear, your Famous, things like that. I guess it could be better now, but it still doesn't seem like it's gonna have like a dominating build. Maybe we'll see with the different powers you get from your Senchal, but right now I still don't think it's gonna have a dominating build. They made this new, or they tweaked this legendary here so you can get a ton of essence with Bone Spirit. Maybe Bone Spirit could be really good actually. That could help it a lot. But pretty disappointed in this. And so they did buff the golems, but in totality, minion builds still seem like they're going to be not so good. And that's really a shame. Hopefully I'm wrong, but it doesn't feel like they're touching them too much. We'll get to see the full patch notes in a little bit. And here is the Meteor Unique. So I have two different thoughts on this. One, I think it's cool. So basically what it does is it changes your Meteor to a cooldown skill instead of a skill that costs mana. So you get 2 charges of it, and now it has a different cooldown depending on your roll. And then Meteor drops 3 additional meteors around the target. Meteor's enchantment effects and enhanced Meteor drop 1 additional meteor. And then the rolls on this are actually really good, and the cooldown is between 11 and 6 seconds per charge. So it's max life, cooldown reduction, ranks of meteor, and a huge bonus to lucky hit chance. My only thinking with this is when you get to real top tier endgame builds, that are probably going to want to be using a Shaco because it's so good. You're getting the +4 ranks to your skills anyway. Sorry, I didn't do that. You're getting cooldown, you're getting more max life. You're not getting a lucky hit, but you're getting all stats, and then you're also getting that 20% DR. Obviously, you won't be able to use Meteor in the same way, but it just, I feel like it might be outclassed by some other builds. But as you can see here, it actually looks really cool. As I show off some more gameplay of it. Yeah, so you're just kind of raining meteors down. So still, I think it's W. It looks pretty cool. Excited to see how it plays, but that would be my one concern for it is anything without the Shaco is just hard. And then coming up here, so this I think looks awesome, and I think this might be really good. So these are the Lightning Storm unique gloves for the Druid. Crit strike chance, normal rolls on that. Ranks of Lightning Storm, ranks of Defiance passive, which I actually forget what it does to be honest. And then again, a huge lucky hit roll here. Normally it goes up to 16.1, I think is the max on regular gloves. And then your Lightning Storm gains 1 additional strike each time it grows. And your Lightning Storm's critical strikes cause lightning to strike twice, dealing up to 20% increased damage. So you can kind of see here, as once it gets going, the lightning just starts exploding everywhere. The one big problem is you have to be stationary to do it. That's kind of my concern with this. Does it look very cool? Yeah. Am I interested in it? Absolutely. Um, we'll have to see how it plays, but this could be a really cool build in Season 3. So moving on from that, so here's how they do class balance. Um, so they basically say they want people to have fun with powerful builds, but they also want to change the meta so you're not repeatedly playing Ball Lightning and Hoda all the time. As I keep this going. So here is what they're nerfing, what I was talking about before. So here's basically the build. So Ball Lightning, pretty obviously what's going to happen. Rogue with the combo points, again, pretty obvious. Rogue with Twisting Blaze, Poison and View interactions. Like I said, looks like they're trying to bring Rogue more in line where Twisting Blaze isn't dominating. It's been dominating since day 1 on the Rogue class. But like I said, the other builds have kind of caught up. So it's sad to see if Twisting Blaze just dies. Then the Druid, the Blurred Beast aspect for this is specifically for the Poison Shred Druid. It was what was making it so good because it was double dipping all your damage and specifically the Tears of Blood. So people were doing insane damage. Violent Hammer of the Ancients. This was something where it was one of the choices for your basically enhanced Hammer of the Ancients. It was always applied and giving you like I think it was 30 to 40%. I forget what it was. Increased damage basically all the time, multiplicative. And then Overpower is too strong in general. So basically what's being nerfed here, Ball Lightning, the combo point Rogue, more of a bug, but Twisting Blade specifically, the Poison Shred because of that double dipping, and then Hoda. So those are what we kind of expected to get nerfed. Maybe you could say maybe not Twisting Blades, but probably going to need a nerf, more just a buff to the the other rogue abilities, but that's what's getting nerfed here. And then as we go on, so they basically say they want to add new legendary techniques to the beginning season, but I can kind of sum this up here. Basically what they say is, so they're going to do the nerfs in between seasons, and then in the middle of seasons, what they're going to do is they're actually going to fix bugs and buff things. So if one class has something that's dominating, they want to bring other things in line with it. So there's just a bug like that, that Hammer of the Ancients bug that was just giving you that free skill all the time, that they're going to change that. So they had an example of this that now I can't find. Which things? Oh, here. So, like, this is what it was. So it's 30% multiplicative damage after overpowering, which you're doing all the time, and you always had this, so you could equipped or not. So they said they would fix this in season. Now, something like this ossified essence. So this used to be 1.0. As we go forward, they show it's now 0.5. So this is something they would say, unless it's completely broken, they said they would take community feedback into account. But this is something they probably wouldn't change within the season. This is just the quality of life stuff. And then they go over some of the cosmetics, and the rest is just Q&A. And nothing that I thought was too crazy. But that is going to be the video. That's everything I got out of this 2-hour basically live stream. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. And we said we should be getting the patch notes very soon. I would say we probably get them. Actually, I don't really even know. Maybe as soon as tomorrow. We shall see. But then we'll be able to deep dive in, kind of see the best build, and I'll be able to kind of theory craft some things, and I'll be able to come out with a starter build for what I want to start with. Like I said, I really want to do the range rogue build, but we'll have to see what that actually looks like. So it's been The Butcher. I appreciate everyone watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.